So now that the dust has settled and the damage has been done, I've come to terms that I now live under a tyrannical, dictatorial regime under the likes of Maladino Makhachev. And now I'm hoping that the dictator gets toppled. I am praying for the dictator's downfall. But who does he beat and lose to in the rest of the welterweight division? That is the point of this video. And we're going to start with Carlos Prates. He's been looking dangerous. He's been knocking everybody out except for Ian Gary. Can Carlos Prates actually knock out Islam Makhachev? Sure. He can knock out anybody. But I mean, what's the likelihood that that's actually going to happen? I give it 10%. Like, if this fight were to ever be booked, I would pick Islam to win 90% of the time. Just because of the takedown. Like, that's just the unfortunate reality we live in. Yes, Carlos Prates would be the tallest fighter that Islam's ever faced, but I don't think that's going to mean all that much. He just goes for a single leg, lifts up the single leg, trips him, or scoops him over, like, and that's it. Carlos Prates on his back probably won't be able to get back up. He doesn't have the strength that Islam's going to have. I mean, look at his biceps. He's long. He's like 6'3". This is good, but you're not going to have the strength to get back on your feet unless it's up against the cage. You know, he does have long legs. Sometimes, you know, it's harder to scoop people when they have really long legs, like some of these tall fighters. We saw that recently with Azamat Bakoyev versus Yusri Belgouri. It was hard to keep Belgouri down. I could see some situations where, you know, CP, he does get back up here and there. But this is probably going to be a finish for Makhachev. He could probably do various types of submissions against Carlos Prates that he couldn't do against JDM. JDM was also strong. And that's why Islam couldn't finish him off, because if he tried to go for a lot of submissions, he could risk JDM scrambling and getting back up on his feet. And so Islam had to waste a lot of his own energy just holding him down for 19 minutes, which made to be one of the most boringest fights I've ever seen in my life. But hey, you know, people say, go watch boxing, go watch this. Yeah, I already watched that shit. I already watched boxing. I still don't want to see a man being held down for 19 and a half minutes in a 25-minute fight. It's just fucking embarrassing. But anyways, Carlos Prates, you know, he's got good knees. He's got good striking, so anything can happen. But this isn't going to be like the JDM fight where, you know, the first like 25 seconds, Islam throws a leg kick. No, he goes immediately for the takedown. Immediately. Why wouldn't you? Why are you going to leg kick Prates? He doesn't even have any meat in his calves, you know? Like, JDM has a meaty calf. Carlos Prates, it's just bone. So if you hit that leg, you're just going to feel his shin up against yours, and it's going to hurt. And he does check the leg kicks. So that's Carlos Prates. Like, I see him losing most of the time. But, you know, any fluke can happen. Adriano Martin's knocked out Islam. I could see a similar situation. I just don't think Islam at this point in his career is going to be put in those situations. Easy 50-45 domination or round 2, round 3 submission. That's that. Carlos Prates doesn't really stand much of a chance. We move on. Michael Morales. Now, the rhetoric about Michael Morales right now is that he's so big. Oh my God, he looks like a very oversized middleweight, you know, going up against Sean Brady. I think that's just because Sean Brady's short. Sean Brady's always been a very small welterweight. And, you know, you faced him up against taller guys like Neil Magny. It's like, okay, now he doesn't look super big. But he is thick. You know, he does have good muscle mass, good physique. I think this fight is even worse than the Prates fight. 95-5. Just because you knock out your last 3 opponents doesn't mean your striking is impeccable. There are flaws in his striking. Wide stance, which is open for single legs from Islam, and these weird overhand rights. And he threw like 5 of them before he knocked out Sean Brady. But the striking isn't all that accurate sometimes. It's just because Sean Brady didn't shoot. you know? If that was Islam when he was fighting against Morales that night, you think he would have just stand there? No, he would have shot. And he would have gotten the takedown. In a way, I see this fight going the way that Stipe versus Francis Ngannou 1 happened, you know, where you had a guy that was much bigger than his opponent, much scarier looking, but he still gets taken down. And Stipe wasn't even the best wrestler. He wasn't. It's just that Francis wasn't prepared for that. I could see something like this. The youth, the inexperience, the 19-0 record, you know, he's never been defeated, so he's going to come in to some of these fights thinking that he's a god. In reality, he's not. And I could see Morales having a look of like, oh shit, what the fuck am I doing? You know, he's going to look like a deer in headlights up against the cage, while Islam has his legs scooped up and he's like on his back and he doesn't know what to do. That's the way I see this fight going. I don't see a situation in which Morales goes out there and just knocks Islam out cold or puts him out. I don't see that. Islam's too smart for that. He's going to shoot the takedown, and if you can't defend it, which most people can't, then you're screwed. And you have a thick Islam who's very strong now. Keep in mind, this picture of Islam is when he was at lightweight. This isn't even the welterweight version, man. Nobody's going to beat him. He's going to retire undefeated. I mean, except for Adriano Martins, but he's going to retire. Oh, no. Who can actually beat him? Usman? Can Usman beat him? I wish Usman was 5 years younger. Fuck. That would have been the fight to make. A 5 years younger Usman at 34. 35 Usman. Usman could beat Islam if he was prime Usman that we're talking about. But a soon-to-be 39-year-old, he looked decent against Buckley, but Islam Makhachev is not Joaquin Buckley. And in that fifth round with Buckley was hitting him. Usman looked slow. His striking looked suboptimal. It looked mediocre at times. Islam Makhachev beats a soon-to-be 39-year-old Kamaru Usman. We don't want to admit that, but it's true. It's true, man. We all know, like, the knees and stuff. I'm not thinking about Usman's knees. I'm just thinking about, like, yeah, you know, Usman survived against Hamza, and that was a 3-round fight. I don't think he could survive a 5-round fight against Makhachev. You know? You lose to Edwards twice. You can't keep Leon Edwards down, yet Sean Brady submitted him. Bilal Muhammad ragdolled him. And now Edwards is on a 3-fight losing streak. That does take into effect, man. Joaquin Buckley is... That's not really a good win in hindsight for someone to think about facing against Islam Makhachev. And also, Usman doesn't really deserve it either. He would have to fight someone else. And who's he going to fight? Is he going to fight Shavkat? That's scary. I don't think Usman can beat Shavkat. Unless Shavkat is a completely different fighter and he's compromised because of the injuries. Maybe. But we don't know with Shavkat yet. I give this fight, though, like 70-30 in favor of Islam. But that's only if it would happen now. You know, if we wait like another year before this happens, you're going to have an even older Usman. And at that point, I would give it like 100% to Islam Makhachev. There's no hope. This fight would have been the best fight to make 4 years ago. But now it's over. We move on. Cucky. How does Cucky do against Islam? Dagestan versus Ireland. The fight would sell. There's a story to be made there. But Dagestan has won every single time against Ireland. Habib McGregor, Usman versus Hughes, and now Makhachev versus Gary. If Gary wins his next fight with Bilal this Saturday, and he does it in dominant fashion, I want to see this fight being made. Ian Gary has good leg kicks, good jabs. He doesn't have good finishing potential. Like, when's the last time he finished one of his opponents? I'd have to go way back. I think it was the D-Rod head kick. I'm pretty sure that was the last time. That was a while ago. So, he's not going to finish Islam off. It's only if he wins a decision, and that's going to be a hard thing to do, man. I don't think it would be 50-45 in favor of Islam. It could be 48-47. But Ian Gary could win a decision. He would just... It's the takedowns, and it's everything, man. It's so hard to beat him. He's so fucking annoying. Like, how do you deal with it, man? Go for knees. Just jab him and run away. As soon as he dips his head down, you know he's going for a takedown, and you just get ready for the sprawl. Get ready for the underhooks. That's what you gotta do against this motherfucker. But I do give Ian Gary a bigger chance than most other people. I say this is 60-40 in favor of Islam. It's just whether or not Ian Gary can eke out a decision and survive. He can. He's going to have the better reach in both his arms and his legs. So just hit him. Hit him and run away. Pop, pop, pop. Fall back. Do not get up against the cage. Stay in the center. That's what he's going to have to do. And it's going to be a hard fight. But yeah, that's Ian Gary. I mean, Ian Gary, I hate to say this, but Ian Gary's like really our only hope at this point. You know, you have Shavkat, but like I said, Shavkat's inactive. Shavkat's going to have to win another one before he gets a title shot. They're not going to give Shavkat a title shot right now. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. But Khabib said that Shavkat would be Islam's dangerous opponent, most dangerous opponent. I can agree with that, but I don't know what kind of Shavkat we're going to get now. We might see a completely different fighter. A lot of ring rust. The injury, he's probably not going to be the same. And I know like this whole thing with like non-Western fighters, you know, in Caucasus, in Central Asia, there's this aura about them that because they're non-Western, they're like more mysterious, and that they're just going to be so immune to being taken down. And if you do take them down, they're going to get back up, and you can't defeat them that way. This is a type of fight where both of these guys have that aura, and they're not going to be easy to take down. And so we might actually see a striking battle between these two. And if it is a striking battle, dare I say that I think Islam wins it. Okay? Shavkat got tagged by Jeff Neal multiple times. He gets hit. He got hit by Ian Gary. And Islam isn't completely useless on the feet either. He could knock out Shavkat Rakhmonov. Jeff Neal was similar height and build to Islam, and he was throwing bombs. And I know Islam has bombs in his hands too. We just haven't seen it yet at welterweight. He could knock out Shavkat, but Shavkat's got a big noggin on his head. I don't know, man. It's just a big question mark. We don't know what kind of Shavkat we're going to get, so that's that. And then Ilya, fuck no. Ilya gets destroyed, man. He gets destroyed at welterweight. Look how small he is, dude. Nah, man, I don't want to see this. Nobody wants to see this anymore. It would be illegal to watch this. It would be sanctioned murder. Even at lightweight, I'm still going to pick Islam at lightweight. Ilya Topuria needs to stay at lightweight forever. Never move up. You're so small. You're a midget. You're a gnome. You'd get destroyed by a lot of welterweights. The only welterweight that I could see him doing good against is like maybe Brady or Buckley. And even then, he's going to look small. Can you imagine the height difference between Ilya Topuria and Carlos Prates? It would be a joke. It would be like Stefan Struve versus Mark Hunt. Oh, but Mark Hunt knocked Stefan Struve. Yeah, because Stefan Struve sucks. Carlos Prates doesn't suck. No. 100% of the time, Islam Makhachev wins against Ilya Topuria at welterweight. And that's really that. Those are the only contenders that are left. You know, we got Gabriel Bonfim coming up, but he's going to have to win his next 2 fights if he wants a title shot. And he's going to be fighting killers from now. So maybe Gabriel Bonfim can be thrown in there. He's in the top 10 now. Islam Makhachev, if he wants to fight welterweights from here on out, he's probably going to win. And that's just the sad truth. I hate to say it, but that's the dictatorship that we're living in. I don't have any hope. Ian Gary is our best hope, and that's not saying much. So, it's over. Another division forever ruined. But we move on. There's other divisions to be fans about. That's all I got for this horrible video. Disgusting video that I hated to make. Thinking about Islam Makhachev even more. Subscribe to my channel, motherfuckers. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.